Yes. All right. So good morning, everyone. My name is Kevin. I'm currently a third year mathematics major, and I'm one of the peer academic advisors for the School of Physical Sciences. And I have here with me one of the mentors in our PSUM program. So would you like to introduce yourself and what you do?
Sure. My name is Neil Sahota. I wear a couple of different hats. So I'm the CEO of ACSI Labs that uses AI, the metaverse, and neuroscience to actually solve complex problems and upskill people. I also serve as the United Nations AI advisor, help them co-found the AI for Good initiative. I'm the author of the book Own the AI Revolution.
Thank you. So our first question, how did you become interested in this field? In other words, what motivated slash inspired you to pursue this field?
I'll be honest, it was a complete accident. I never actually planned to go down this path. I've always been the person that I guess likes the path of most resistance, but I like to do complex problem solving and definitely a change agent, as they say these days. And so I go where the opportunity is, and given my skill sets, what I learned from UCI as a student, and as a math student and problem solving, it kind of took me in this direction as I tackled bigger and bigger challenges.
Interesting. So if I may ask, how did this accident sort of came about?
Well, I guess I'll focus on the AI stuff because I actually wanted going into management consulting to solve big complex problems. I know I'm dating myself here, but back in the mid 2000s, business intelligence was the big thing. We had these new tools to collect and store lots of data. You can slice and dice it, using stats, other things to figure out what's going on, try inside, make nice looking reports. And working with like these big companies like Disney and Starbucks and Allianz and stuff, I would hear the executives, like Michael Eisner and Warren Buffett say, "Man, Neil, it's amazing what computers are telling us." And I'm thinking to myself, they're not actually telling us anything, but could they? And so I started thinking about that and how that would work. And so I started developing a lot of intellectual property around what I called enterprise intelligence, which is actually what today we call artificial intelligence. And that got the attention of IBM R&D, started asking for my work. So they said, "Hey, do you want to join a secret project we're working on codenamed Watson?" So I wound up being part of the original IBM Watson team with the Jeopardy Challenge. That turned out to be the precursor to this whole AI wave that we're currently in.
Interesting. Thank you for that. Our next question, how do most people get into this field and what are sort of common entry-level jobs? Like,
Well, AI emerging tech, um, it's really about a couple of different things. One is obviously understanding at least how the technology works. Not so much that you need to create it, you can if you want, but how it works and how to apply it are the key things. So you have to be able to apply it to a specific domain or a type of problem. Starting out of college, no one expects you to know all the pain points on the ground, but the one great advantage actually college students have is a fresh set of eyes and more familiarity with these technology tools. Old guys like me, while I know things about like ChatGPT, most of the students are probably using it right now to help with their essays and their homework and all those types of things. So your familiarity and how to use it is actually a lot better than, well, I'll call us job veterans. And that's actually a great thing to play up. So side projects, school projects, things that you do will all help you get your foot in the door because it'll show that you have a way to actually I understand the capabilities of the technology and this is how I've been able to apply it.
see. Thank you. All right, so next question. How relevant is your undergraduate major to your job now?
It's an interesting question. As a math major, I'm doing problem solving all the time. That's actually what the great thing about math is. It really trains you to think logically. That's been a real big benefit because today a lot of employers are looking for people that are better creative, critical thinkers, and math really set me up to do that. I will say, however, though, as I've moved up the corporate ladder, so to speak, I also have a degree in political science, and that has proved incredibly useful because the how do you deal with people? How do you motivate with them? How do you persuade them? That's actually a lot of politics. Understanding people's agendas, their needs is actually crucial for success. You could be a really great problem solver. You could have the next big disruptive idea. If you don't know how to convince people of the value and get their buy-in, you're not going to go very far. So I will definitely say my undergrad degrees were extremely beneficial, both of them, but for different reasons.
It's very interesting. Thank you. All right, our next question. What skills, abilities, etc., are essential to success in your job?
Today, I can actually boil it down to five things, and this is actually what I talk about around the future of work. And everyone's kind of wondering what those jobs are. It doesn't matter if you can do these five skills; you can be successful in almost any job. One, problem solver. You got to be a great problem solver, and that's not something that we unfortunately really teach or teach well in our educational systems. So if you're a person that can be given like a broad problem or a nebulous type of thing and go out and try and figure it out, that's huge. Second is what I call the essential skills: communication, collaboration, negotiation, teamwork. These are all important things because we're working in a more projectized environment. If I didn't wasn't good in those skills, I couldn't have done half the stuff I've actually accomplished. Third, you got to be a creative thinker. So one of the big reasons for my success is that I was willing to think outside the box, to be cliche. But today, most companies want people that have that entrepreneurial mindset. Doesn't mean you have to be an entrepreneur, but you have to be willing to think differently, which is also not something that we teach. That's something that, for whatever reason, I've embraced that. I remember even as a little kid asking the question, like, well, why do we do it that way? Is there a different way of doing this? Fourth, you got to have some understanding of technological capabilities, especially with emerging technology like AI and the metaverse, so you know how to apply it. And fifth, and this is the one I think some people find surprising, is you have to have some domain knowledge. You have to have an area you can apply the other four skills towards, whether that's finance or healthcare or even developing the actual technology tools. You're able to focus your efforts somewhere. That's really the big thing. It's those five things that have made me successful. And those are the five things literally every job needs and every employer looks for.
Thank you. Next question. What is something that surprised you the most in the first couple of years of your job, or even the last couple of years?
Um, I don't know if it's a surprise anymore, but definitely early in my career, it's still a problem or a challenge today, is that of all the things we're trying to do, right? We always break things down into people, process, technology. People are the challenge. It was true when I came out of college. It's true today. Process is very mature. We got really good at being able to do workflows and all those kinds of things. Obviously, we make great strides in technology and help us, do our work better. It's still the people challenge, the believability, the trust, getting people to agree to something. Truth is, most people they hate change. So any kind of change, even if it's beneficial, there's a natural resistance built into it. And you would think after all my years of working that maybe would overcome some of those hurdles. No, that's still the biggest challenge. So, especially for all your students, when you go out to the workforce, believe me, I know it's going to be overwhelming. You're going to pick up the processes, how work gets done, some of all these things very quickly. What you're going to find is the major obstacle to getting things done and being successful is going to be some of your colleagues.
Mm, thank you. All right, next question. How are you able to establish a work/life balance in your field?
You have to work really, really hard at it. The mantra your employers will tell you is this work-life integration. You definitely need some separation between the two. And so the best thing I learned and the best advice I can give everyone is no one's going to do that balance for you. If you don't set your own boundaries, they'll keep pushing more and more work on you until you kind of reach your breaking point, your limit. So don't be afraid to draw those boundaries. And don't be afraid to say, like, hey, if this is really important, then something else has to come off my plate from a work standpoint. We all only have so much capacity, and it's on us as individuals to manage that. Unfortunately, our managers, our companies aren't going to do that for us.
I see, I see. Thank you. Next question. What do you wish you had known before you started in this industry?
Um, Honest truth is, I wish I had known that you should never graduate. I tell students, if you can stay in school forever. All kidding aside, um, I kind of wish I knew more about the people challenge because, like I said, even though it makes logical sense, you can articulate benefits. It doesn't mean that people will actually buy into it. We can just look at what happened during the pandemic and see, well, some of the far out reasons to say no or some of the far out ideas that were out there to fight some of the, well, beneficial changes people were trying to make to overcome the virus. So that's real, and that's real in any kind of job and in our personal lives. And I kind of wish I had known that more during my college days so I'd be better prepared to handle that because it's a huge adjustment.
Mhm. All right, thank you for that. And our final question for today is what advice would you give someone considering this type of job?
It's a great question. I'd like to say start early and do all these things, but the honest truth is if you're really into it, you've really got to participate in it. I always tell people, don't do what you love, do what you're good at, right? Because you may not be good at what you love. Just look at American Idol. A lot of people love singing, but they're not really good at it. So these days, if you want to set yourself up for success, you want to get into the field. It's not just learning, how like AI or emerging technology works or how you can apply problem solving into the financial service industry. You got to be out there active and building your brand name. So you really got to go on LinkedIn, have an account, connect with people, join these groups, post, comment, share articles, whatever it is. But you got to start establishing the level of serious commitment you have to your field because that's what all employers are going to look. Even as a college hire, how serious is this person? Are they actually passionate about it, and are they good at it? You can establish that up front before they even talk to you. So my big thing. That's why if you and I encourage everyone, if you like, you can connect me on LinkedIn. You'll see I'm posting, sharing all the time because you constantly have to do that. So break it into any field, and particularly my industry, you got to kind of start establishing yourself as some sort of player, and ultimately the aspiration to show you can be a thought leader in your field.
Thank you. So that's all that I have for today. So this will conclude the PSUM interview. Thank you for coming out for this interview.
My pleasure, Kevin.